We're rolling. What's going on, guys? It's EP from the Coaches Vault. I got the guys with me today. I got Leo, Danny, Terrence, Dustin, and Marcus. And we're going to be going over two questions. All right. One of them is a fan one, and one of them is an important one that we all are about to see very soon, hopefully. Okay. There's a light at the end of the tunnel. Okay. Especially in Texas. We're seeing that we may open back gyms back up very, very soon. So, want everybody's mind, especially the powerlifters, should you max out the day you get back into the gym? Okay, I already know I'm gonna get head nods from that, but we'll talk about that when we get there. The other question comes from one of our followers. Don't know his name. Okay, I don't want to butcher it. On top of that, but he asked, um, what leg exercises should you do if you're feeling low back pain? Which I think is a great question, and I think it's something that's on a lot of people's mind because God knows right now everybody has low back problems because they're sitting. But why don't we go ahead and why don't we start with the first question, okay? Should you max out first day back into the gym? And I'm talking first day, okay? Why don't we start with Danny's ass? Okay, go ahead, Danny.
I would say no, because coming from a sedentary state and everybody being at home and on the couch or just relaxing, and then you go into the gym first day, your mind's not where it's at, and your strength is definitely not where it's at. And you probably pull something you try to max out first day, honestly.
Okay. That's a lot of ands, okay? So,
And
move on? Why don't we go ahead to Marcus?
I would have to say it depends on the person, you know what I mean? Because you still have some people who are able to have at-home gyms and still lifting. So that person clearly did not miss a beat. Whereas people who only use bands and body weight movements, they definitely will feel a big difference touching a weight again. So I really say it's going to be individualized based on the person and what they were doing during this whole quarantine, if they are able to max out or not.
Okay. I like that. Okay. Why don't we go, Terrence? What do you think?
I've always been against it personally. Yeah, I feel like just especially being away from the barbell for so long, like sometimes you just gotta get your groove back, you gotta get the pattern back. I don't really see what the point of really needing to know what your one rep max would be. Just if you've been out of the gym for 3 months, maybe a better measure would be doing like maybe a 3 or 5 rep max, just to kind of get a good baseline. So something that's not like incredibly heavy, just heavy enough to kind of see where you're at, and just kind of take it from there.
Yeah.
There's no reason to just try to go in and crush a heavier number because you're not even like your training's not even leading you up to doing one rep max anyway. So even the number that you're coming out with is not even worth trying to even figure out what it is.
Yeah. Okay. Leo, what do you think?
I'm gonna go more with Marcus's question or Marcus's answer. It just depends. I will say I don't think really anybody, even the people with access to gym equipment, should max out anything besides deadlift. And the reason being is deadlift may be the most taxing to your CNS, but it's like me personally, if I take 2 or 3 weeks off deadlifting, I usually come back to hit a PR just because your central nervous system is so rested for it. And not to mention, if you're going back to the gym, like my gym down here is going to open up Saturday, and we're going to have our powerlifting team meet up and lift together. That environment, the smelling salts, the triple scoop of pre-workout, like I think deadlift would be the only lift you should try to max out if you've been working out consistently through this. For an everyday person, more towards Terrence, do like a 3 or 5 rep max or some kind of like time under tension type variation to what you're doing.
Yeah. Dustin.
I'm gonna kind of piggyback off of everybody's answer. You kind of have to look at the population that you're working with. If you're a powerlifting athlete, weightlifting athlete, whatever it is, you're gonna have a better ability to hit a 1 rep max. So if you've been training, if you've been sticking with it, able to, go for it. Why not? If you're starting a new training cycle, find out your 1 rep max to be able to plug in those numbers for your new training cycle. But if you're dealing with general population, there are ways to find a 1 rep max off of a 3 rep or 5 rep max. So you don't really need to. And if you really, really want to, then get like a ramp up week, get back into the groove of things. And at the end of that week, take 1-2 rest days and then go for 1 rep max. But if you don't know how to 1 rep max, then don't go for it, because we have all these gym fail videos of people freaking out under a back squat or dropping a bar on their chest or, anything like that, breaking mirrors.
Yeah. So if you don't want to be on bar stools, then don't go ahead and do your PR.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Which would be great great content, but yeah. So yeah. So
I'd laugh at you, but
yeah, I would definitely watch that. But yeah, I kind of have to go with the individualized of everything. I 100% agree with Marcus that it's 100% individualized. There's people that have access to a home gym or barbell and all that stuff that probably, if they have access to a at home and stuff barbell, they're already planning and programming. I don't even think it's a matter of fact that they need to go to a gym to go ahead and do that stuff. I think they're if they invested all that time and all that money into their gym, like there's no point to wait for a gym to open. But I think for an ego standpoint, doing that day one, like what's the point? Yeah, I mean, what's the reason? You don't need to find your number right now, and especially that you've been away from a barbell so goddamn long. Like today was my first day back into the gym in like 2 months, and 135 like on a back squat, which should be
So
easy.
heavy.
Felt like a fucking 100. It felt like a 10 out of 10. I have no idea why.
House.
I felt like shit. So, and I still feel like shit. And it was just a normal, like, I just did like a normal like 3x5 thing, and I was dying. You know
I
what
remember
and
that day.
I consider my training age is high. Like I've been training 12 years. Like why do I need to go ahead and do that? You get what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Yeah.
so if you feel that way, imagine like a beginner feeling that way.
Yeah, exactly. You get me?
You
So,
start 1 rep, dog. That's all you need. Just 1 rep. You
no,
don't need to do-
no, I'm good. No, I'm
I do
good.
like what about 20 reps?
I want to actually go back into your deadlift your deadlift idea. So I'm really interested to see why you're thinking deadlift other than the other two kind of like main movements to actually do it. Like I get the CNS aspect of it, like I do get it, but like what, like is that the only reason? Like I would, because me personally, like I would feel like I would lose, like my grip strength would be shot even though everything would be back. Like that's just me.
So
I feel like chest would be better.
Yeah.
deadlift to me is okay. I got let me put a disclaimer. This is for people who like, deadlift pretty frequently. I'm not gonna.
You have to agree.
You
You're
gotta
doing
actually.
like that much volume for deadlift than you used to, all that weight.
Yeah, exactly. So like the people who have deadlifted in their life before, deadlift is one of those lifts where a lot of emotion can help you lift that weight up high. So that you see those crazy guys from West Side and all those people get super crunk and they go pull something in a great environment, go pull a max PR. I think it's the easiest out of the 3 big lifts, or out of all the 3 ollie lifts, that you really don't have to focus too much on technique, and you don't have to get yourself in a groove to pull some heavy weight coming out of nowhere. Versus like bench, which I think is probably like one of the most technical lifts, and a squat. There's so many moving parts to it, like a concentric, eccentric phase to it, that you probably want to have your body used to it. Deadlift, you're just picking some shit off the ground. That's why I say if you're gonna do something, you deadlift over trying to squat or bench. Like just like the example, you're a seasoned lifter in 135 for 3x5 on squat, but like shit. Whereas I bet you could probably pull 225 4 reps pretty easily and not feel.
Yeah. I mean, I've never been away from the game like for 2 months. Yeah, like I've always like been around it. So I don't know how like central nervous system, like I would feel like.
Evan is not Evan.
Yeah.
Evan.
Time out.
I'm sorry.
That's how it is. You go back.
You had a straight echo. Like, I'm sorry, bro.
All right, so guys, we had some technical difficulties. My microphone doesn't work for some weird reason because my cousin Ecuador, or whatever Marcus decided to call my racist cousin, okay, gave me the wrong fucking trigger. Okay, but anyway, all right, we'll go into our next question. Our next question is, what exercises should we be doing if we have low back pain? Okay, why don't we go Dustin first? Okay, what do you think? Some low back pain, because you went last time. I backed off everybody.
Well, with the gyms opening back up and everything, hopefully soon, if your gym has a pit shark or something like that, pit shark is great movement if you have back pain. It's going to take all that pressure off of your spine and everything. And then also looking at, you have your leg curls, you have your leg extension, and then also split squats would be a great one to work on. Start working on some unilateral leg strength, because we know most people probably don't pay enough attention to it. And at the same time, you're taking that stress, those compressing forces off of that spine.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, I was literally about to say the split stance. I was going to say RFE, like 100%, just getting everything back in line. I think if we're going to not generalize what we're talking about, but generalize it, like anything involving the glute usually is going to lead to, like, having a weak ass is usually going to you having a weak back, and usually that kind of compensates. So,
Exactly.
stuff like single work, like anything with the glute is like going to be huge.
All the glute bridges, stuff like that.
Yeah, just all that kind of stuff. Like the minimalist stuff. The very simple stuff is very important. Marcus, what do you think?
Well, first, almost like what you said. I'll put him on a foam roller. Like the exercise would just be him on a foam roller, because he probably had really tight hamstrings, which leads to his glutes being tight and then his lower back being tight. So, we'll definitely work on that first. But I would definitely go for exercise, leg press. You can do different many angles. You can put yourself in the leg press. You can actually just isolate the quad, isolate the hamstring without putting too much pressure on your back. And because it's primarily on your back, even with no weight, all that, you having to, flex your spine, will bring your leg close, bring your knees to your chest, can actually help your lower back a little bit. So it'll be one of the extras I'll actually put them on.
Okay. All right, Danny.
Some lunges.
Split stance. Okay.
Yeah, same. Maybe some leg extensions, hamstring curls if they have the machine available.
Okay. All right, Terrence.
As generic as it might sound, do the exercises that don't cause you pain. But you kind of have to play around with different motions. I want to piggyback off of like the single leg squats. Like naturally, my brain just kind of goes into doing more single leg work and just seeing what load that you can kind of take to where it's tolerable for you, or maybe even just find different positions. Like, oh, I get more pain there, so maybe I should shy away from doing this movement. But once you kind of figure out like where you're getting pain in certain areas, now it's like, all right, maybe I should try to figure out what this issue is. So instead of just trying to always avoid it, I can start attacking it just to build myself up, but still do exercise that allow me to hit my legs without pain. But overall, try to figure out what the root of that issue is so you can start.
Yeah, 100%. That was the next thing I was gonna say is like find the root of the problem, because like you trying to avoid exactly what you're saying. You're trying to avoid that situation by doing other shit isn't really gonna help anything. I think going back to Marcus's foam rolling the hamstring thing, I think like this just goes back into my head, and this just goes back into what I've been learning, is that hamstring tightness isn't necessarily hamstring tightness, hamstring weakness. Yeah, I mean, which probably Leo was gonna say. So why don't you go ahead and do the hand thing? Go ahead and just give it.
No, bro, I was just listening to a podcast talking about most what you define as tightness is usually weakness in a corresponding muscle, and lower back pain, unless you've like had a specific injury in your lower back, I would say like 9 out of 10 times lower back pain is caused from something else down the chain. But as far as if you do have that lower back pain and you are working on the root of that cause problem, but you still want to hit those legs, like Danny said, walking lunges to me is the best bang for buck, and really the best bang for buck exercise out there. If you've ever lunged a quarter mile or half a mile, that is a whole new level of quad pumpness, everything. You'll feel like you're dying. That and also reverse hypers. If you're fortunate enough to have a reverse hyper machine, because that stretches out your spine while also pumping blood into your lower back and using your glutes and hamstrings. You can change up the angle just a few degrees, and you can hit almost everything. So I think walking lunges, and if you've got a reverse hyper, and you can get ghetto with one, put a bench on an incline, and lay on it. And I think those are probably your two best leg exercises.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I think even before we go ahead and prescribe like exercises, like I should actually backtrack and what do you guys use to kind of figure out, is it a back issue? Is it a hamstring issue, like what are the methods that you guys do? Do you guys like go regress them, and how much? Like, what do you guys kind of do to figure that stuff out, other than using AT to figure it out for you? Okay, you guys, that's you and Danny. Okay.
Oh, me?
Yeah.
All right, so
All
I'm,
right.
I'm I'm fortunate to have a brother that just graduated PT school. So any injuries I have, I just go immediately straight to him, and he would just help me regress stuff.
Yeah.
But it's usually the weak parts that everybody's saying. The weak parts that you neglect is usually what pops up later on in injuries that happen from it.
Yeah. I think so. This is my thing, and this is kind of what I usually tell people. When you get an injury, it's never that spot that's injured that's the problem.
Yep.
I think, and
Yeah.
I think that's something that people have to understand. It's like, oh, it's my back, my back hurts. Well, what are you doing for your core? Because sometimes what happens is that you have just nothing core because you don't carry anything, or you go ahead and you just do a bunch of crunches and you ain't stabilizing anti-rotation and stuff like that, or your glute on your left side like shot to overcompensate on your right side, so your right low back is tight now. I mean, or your hips are misaligned. I mean, there's a whole bunch of factors than just prescribing exercise to actually find out what it is. That's the difference between making it a coach and making a trainer. The trainer would just go, oh well, why don't we go ahead and just do leg extension if your low back hurt? Well, how is that really helping? Because if you go ahead and do all that stuff, is it really going to benefit in the long run?
Yeah.
Yep,
Yeah.
100% agree. I usually start from the bottom, so I start with someone's foot. So I stretch out someone's foot, and really the quickest way to stretch out somebody's foot is if you have like one of those small like tune-up balls or something, just have them sit on it in the arch. Get that loose because that will loosen up their calves. Do a few calf loosening exercises, pump blood to the hamstring, and then do a couple single leg glute raises. And then I ask them, okay, now how's your back feel now? So if all three of those, their ankle flexion is better, their glutes are on fire, and their hamstrings are on fire, generally that means their back. Usually they tell me, hey, my back feels a lot better. Now I kind of feel everything in my legs. So that's a good starting point. I do. I think the one-legged glute bridge is just a really good go-to because most of the time, like you said earlier, it's usually people's weak glutes and hamstrings that cause people to have lower back problems.
Yeah. Marcus, what do you do?
Access. Well, I'm almost as like Leo, so we normally go bottom up. But I take a different route before even putting them into using weights. So I would foam roll the foot, go all the way up into the hamstrings, glutes, back. Have them do some book openers. But the main exercise I'll have them do is a bird dog. A bird dog will be one. Just help with the flexion with the spine. Just help make them open up. And then lastly, I'll put them in and do dead bugs with them. Dead bugs is a very exercise that for me when I tell all my clients to do that, if they're feeling any back pain, it loosens right up and it's gone for their entire session.
Yeah.
So dead bugs would be the one exercise that I always try to stress, and I'll do sets, high repetitions with all my clients. So that way we really focus on just extending their back a little bit more, so that it just relieves any type of pressure that they may have built up in there.
I love that because I mean I put that in the program, and that's how Coach G does it. Like we'll do a lower body movement, and we'll always do it. I think what happens is two things. I think the bottom up is great, but I think resetting the back is very important. Your foot is the base of everything. If your foot's fucked up, it just goes up. Okay? And I think at the same time, resetting people's back who stand all day, who sit all day, and we're always in this flexion position the entire time. And what a dead bug does, and exactly what Mark is saying, it puts you in that reset position. It makes your back and your spine completely flat and kind of gives your back some rest from being in such a weird position. And I love that. I think that's great. The dead bug and the bird dogs are great kind of like regressions and kind of like mechanisms, like tools you can use to find out issues and kind of release some tension. Terrence, what do you do?
Yeah, I'm gonna piggyback on some of what you guys said. Like anybody that trains with me, like dead bugs and bird dogs are like two exercises I almost start every single workout with.
Yeah.
Like those exercises right there tell me a lot about like somebody's core control. Even just having them lay flat, I just kind of can tell like if their hips are tilted a certain way, anterior, posterior tilt. the coordination that they might have with their body, doing different variations of dead bugs and bird dogs and stuff like that. So what I also assess too, I'll do like different hip mobility things to check, like see if somebody has tightness in their hips.
Yeah.
I ask them about their lifestyle, if they sit or if they stand a lot, and I'm also looking at their posture a lot too.
Yeah.
They might have rounded shoulders, or there's some issues going on in some other places to where it might be affecting them in their lower back, but their lower back, unless you actually had like an injury to your lower back, like a direct hit there or something like that, there's probably a lot of weaknesses in other parts of your body that you might not have really like dug deep into in your training or just in your life that you were neglecting for so long. So now we got to kind of look at just some of the way you used to train over a while and start throwing in some movements that you probably aren't doing so we can build your whole body up as a unit and then see if that starts to release some of the issues that you have going on there.
Yeah. I think first off, I laughed because the moment you said posture and rounding people's back, like I saw 3 people kind of get sick. I started laughing. But yeah, so like I think that's great. I think asking people how they move, like looking at that, and I think that's kind of the big thing. Like the day-to-day things that they do are huge. Yeah, I mean it's what they do day to day. If they kind of can't be in a certain position, like for extended period of time, or they have bad posture, it kind of leads to things. So something that I love to do. Like my first thing is that I tell them to take their shoes off and squat. Like that's my first thing. Like go ahead, take your shoes off and go ahead. I'll give them 3 instructions. I'll be like, put your feet outside your shoulder width. Okay. Sometimes I'll make them do up like overhead squat, but
Yeah, I do that one a lot too.
I'm never gonna train it, so I can also look at thoracic in a different way. But like I'll make put your hands in front of you, counterbalancing. Just give me the 5 best squats that you ever did in your life. I mean, because if you can't have like that, if you can't like actually twerk your feet, don't understand like the claw method or whatever, like the tripod method, and don't understand how to use your foot properly, like that's a shot. Yeah, I mean, there's so many people that don't walk barefoot enough that don't understand the actual like benefits that come with it. You know what I mean? Like they're in the shoe all day or they're in the heel all day in this flexion in this position. You get me? And then they're wondering why like my calves are tired or my shins fucking hurt or my low back hurts because you're here all day. You get me? You're sitting all day. So I think that's all important. I think movement is a healer. Like going back to what you're saying, like doing all these movements, see how people are doing and seeing how they move all day. I think that's the number one key to an easy ass question. Like if we're gonna answer the fucking question, like movement is key, movement's a healer. Go ahead, Leo. What were we gonna say before we got wrapped?
You made a bunch of great points. I think like as a power lifter, if you're not working out barefoot most of the time, you're screwing up right there. I mean, you gotta wear squat shoes like a couple weeks out before competition, but being barefoot is just you feel everything from the ground up.
Yeah. I think it's just also it becomes a crutch sometimes. You know what I mean? Like I think there's a use for it. I'm never gonna say there's not a use for it for all these shoes and all this extra stuff. Like I think like you need to use it for certain things, but if you use it as a crutch to help with your mobility over time and time again, and you're not doing anything with your mobility or trying to improve it, then you're doing nothing. You're filling a cup that has a hole in the bottom. You're not doing anything. You feel me? So we got 2 more minutes. All right. Does anybody else have any other points before we wrap this up?
Oh, yeah, I do. So all the viewers watching, go on Google and look up the anatomy of your muscles and just see how far the muscles travel from bottom up or top down, whatever.
Yeah.
Just go ahead and look at your muscles real fast. Just get a little understanding of it.
You want the normal
The viewers.
Okay. It's like, hey guys, I want you to go ahead and look. Like, why?
I said the viewers. The viewers.
Okay.
Ever don't listen.
I don't listen. I'm a bad host.
He probably didn't hear it.
But all right, guys. So we got 2 more minutes. So we're just gonna wrap this up. All right. I thought that was great. If anybody has any points, like we'll go ahead and talk about it later. Man. So again, talking to the viewers this time. The viewers, not Danny.
Yes.
Just a like and a share goes a long way. We appreciate you guys with all this support that you guys are giving us about our articles and about our videos and all that stuff. But man, like just a like and a share go a long, long way, man. It helps us stay motivated to keep doing this stuff and it helps spread the word so we can keep spreading the knowledge. All right, guys. So appreciate you guys being here for tonight's Coaches Vault Talk. All right, I'll talk to you guys soon. And Danny, if you don't give me an article soon, I will kick your ass. Okay.
Come down to BO real fast.
But I love each one of you guys. All right, stay safe, man, and just hopefully these gyms open up soon so we can all be doing our regular thing.
Yeah, man. Stay safe.
Yeah,
Man.
definitely.
All right, guys.
Stay safe.
Talk to you soon.
All right, bye, y'all.
Bye.